On 5 News, the police force which failed to protect dozens of children from sexual abuse. A major investigation says Greater Manchester police officers knew girls were being assaulted but didn't stop it. One victim who'd repeatedly begged for help died after being given drugs by her abuser. Her gran says the police totally failed her.
They gave her an injection and everything and it killed her. And all the police lied to me. All the time they were lying to me.
Hello and welcome to 5 News. I'm Sian Williams. The cases were shocking, the abuse profound, yet a report out today says even though police and social workers in Manchester knew dozens of children were suffering, they didn't protect them. The report focused on an initial investigation in 2003, launched after the death of a 15-year-old girl. It says that although nearly 100 predominantly Asian suspects were identified as being part of a network of paedophiles, very few were brought to justice, meaning some were left to re-offend. Julian Drucker reports now from Manchester.
It's one of the worst examples of the most vulnerable being sexually exploited, with the police and the authorities doing little to stop it. We now know dozens were being abused across Manchester, among them 15-year-old Victoria Agoglia. Following years of exploitation, she died after being given heroin by a man in his 50s. Victoria had even written to social workers alerting them. In it, she wrote, "I'm only 13. I got the rest of my life ahead of me. I have slept with people older than me. Half of them, I don't even know their names." Today, Victoria's gran told me she was appallingly let down by those who should have been protecting her.
She had no faults on her. It was the men that were doing this. And then they said, well, there's not enough evidence, even though they knew. They gave her an injection and everything and it killed her. And all the police lied to me. All the time they were lying to me. Social service was lying to me.
After Victoria's death in 2003, police identified at least 57 children, mainly teenage girls, as potential victims. And they identified at least 97 predominantly Asian men as suspects, but few were ever brought to justice. Today's report said police and social workers knew they were suffering the most profound abuse, but did not protect them, and that the operation was prematurely closed down, so there was no assurance this was appropriately addressed by either Greater Manchester Police or Manchester City Council.
On behalf of Greater Manchester Police, I want to apologise to all of those vulnerable children who were let down in 2004, when Greater Manchester Police did not thoroughly investigate the abhorrent offences that had been committed against them.
The findings were welcomed by Maggie Oliver. The former detective who blew the whistle on the police's failings was today finally vindicated.
It's trust that's gone, trust in the authorities. How can you trust anyone if you can't trust the police to prosecute rapists? It's very simple for me. It's just very simple principles. It's about right and wrong and what you do when you're entrusted with protecting kids.
Both the police and the council say they've had a decade and a half to improve, but the legacy of this grim era of crimes against children is how few were ever convicted.
So, Julian, what happens now? Is anybody going to be brought to justice over this?
Well, Sian, this review was brought by the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham. As an MP, he was the one who sought answers over what happened at Hillsborough, and now he's seeking the truth over this scandal as well. Well, what's happening? GMP have formed a major incident team. They are reviewing all of the cases that have been outlined in this report, and they've referred themselves to the police watchdog, the IOPC. What is most appalling, though, in this report is that it found that there were 8 men identified in 2003 who then went on to commit serious sexual offences against girls and young women. There is the wider question about which other towns and cities this sort of thing was happening in, and is this sort of thing still happening today as well?